Late Sunday night, KenPom released its new rankings for the upcoming season, and wait till you hear how they have the Big Ten looking. Locked on Illini, let's go.
You are Locked on Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast or at the Sunny V. Simple reminder, if you'd like to support the channel, please just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, or find us on your favorite audio platform. It costs you guys nothing, and it really does help this channel grow. Thank you so much for those of you who joined me on the Purdue postgame on Saturday evening. That chat was very lively. Obviously, we had some very opinionated people talking about how they felt after that hard-fought victory that Illinois had over the Purdue Boilermakers. And don't get me wrong, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in the second segment, as well as, well, essentially the rest of the week, because Illinois got another big game coming up on Saturday against Michigan. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, as I said, late Sunday night, the basketball nerds went a little crazy, myself included, because Ken Pomeroy released his rankings for the upcoming college basketball season. And Illinois makes its debut at number 23, which was second in the Big Ten, behind Purdue, who I believe was number 10. And get this, I'll talk about Illinois in a second, but I thought this was very interesting. The Big Ten has one team in the top 20, it being Purdue. Then we have 12 of the 18 teams are in the top 50. And the last place team, according to the KenPom in the Big Ten, is going to be Washington at 75. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very deep conference. It doesn't look like it's very top-heavy, which is probably right. I don't see it being very top-heavy either, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to be watching very good basketball almost every single night. Two of the teams that I found most interesting was Indiana showing up at 39. Now, granted, most of you are going to be watching this on Monday, and Monday is actually when the first official rankings are going to be coming out. And I expect Illinois to be right around where the KenPom was, 23. I've talked about this before. I think, especially in the beginning of the year, with as new of a team as this is, we're going to be borderline top 25. I would put us in. I don't know if that's just bias. It could also be me not knowing some of the other teams quite as well as, obviously, I'm familiar with my Illini. But if I had to guess, they're going to debut right around the 25-point range. So if they're not in, then they're going to be one of those teams that's receiving votes. But what I found interesting is there's a team who I think is going to show up pretty high up on Monday who is not quite as high on these KenPom ratings, and that is Indiana. Indiana makes its debut, according to KenPom, at number 39. That is 10 in the Big Ten. Now, what does KenPom see in Indiana that the rest of us don't? I'm not sure. I have Indiana finishing probably, I haven't done my official rankings yet, but I guess I should. The season starts in like 2 weeks, right? Maybe I'll work on that episode very, very soon. But right now, I have Indiana finishing either first or second in the conference. I'll decide once it's time to record that actual episode. They've just simply brought in the most talent of anybody else in the conference. Purdue is obviously going a different route. They're essentially just bringing in a bunch of freshmen and bringing in that team from last year, including Braden Smith. Obviously, the big difference is going to be arguably the greatest college basketball player of all time. Zach Edey is not going to be manning the middle for Matt Painter and the Boilermakers right now. So that's a team I'm very intrigued in watching. I don't I can't really argue with them being number one because, again, it's almost boring, but you have to give respect to Matt Painter and what he's built with that program. If he's able to duplicate what he did last year with this year's team, now you're talking about an all-time coaching grade. Do I think it's going to be at that level? No. Do I think 10 is kind of high? I do. I look at Purdue as a top 15, top 20 team. I think Purdue has the highest floor of all the contending teams. And by contending, I mean Illinois, Indiana, Purdue, and UCLA. But I just think they also have the most limited ceiling. I just think we know what they kind of are. And Illinois and Indiana in particular have brought in players who I think could be some of the best in the entire conference. Another team I was shocked to see was Rutgers coming in second to last in the conference, number 63 overall. Now, Rutgers, I look at as going to be one of the darlings of college basketball, in particular with the two freshmen, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, two of the top three freshmen in the country this year, depending on which ranking. Some people have them as top two. Both guys could go very high in the NBA draft next year. And obviously, because it's Rutgers, not exactly a combination of high recruits and Rutgers is something you see very often. I think that Rutgers is going to get a lot of TV time, and understandably. Now, Rutgers also lost a lot of their players from last year. So this is going to be a brand new team. But their head coach has had a long relationship with, in particular, the Harper family. Obviously, his older brother had played for Rutgers as well. But even with Bailey, he coached Bailey for Team USA, and he was able to kind of build a relationship with him there. But again, most people have Rutgers maybe top 8 in the conference. Have them 17. Again, I want to know, what is it that KenPom sees in Rutgers and Indiana? I think those two are the two main teams that jump out at me that the rest of us don't. Quickly, I'll follow through the exact rankings. Purdue, number 2, Illinois, number 3, UCLA, Oregon, Ohio State, Iowa, Michigan State, Michigan, Maryland, Indiana, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Nebraska, USC, Minnesota, Penn State, Rutgers, and finally, as I mentioned, Washington coming in at 18. Now, again, what does this mean? What I just said. Every single game in this conference is going to be a grind. And that's why I've talked about this in past episodes. I like the fact that Brad Underwood has built as challenging of an out-of-conference schedule that exists. He's going to get this young team as battle-hardened as early as possible. So once that daunting Big Ten schedule comes up and you're in for a grind every single night, Illinois will be ready. There's other teams in the same tier who I don't know if they're going to be ready, who once they start Big Ten play, that's when they're going to feel what it feels like to be punched in the face on a Wednesday night at the rack. There's going to be very seldom few double-digit spreads when it comes to the Big Ten Conference this year. I believe I saw they have Purdue winning by 3 games, the Big Ten Conference. But then second, where Illinois comes in, it's actually like a 4-way tie of 4 or 5 teams finishing at 11-9. Right now, a lot of these teams just haven't separated from each other. But that's the beauty of the Big Ten Conference. That's why I can't wait for this season. This season is going to be one of the most intriguing ones in recent memory just because of the teams we have involved. Last year, everyone knew Purdue was going to win the conference. They had a very strong team who all returned, and the aforementioned Zach Edey. This year, Indiana is going to be involved with, again, the amount of NIL that they invested in their basketball program. It's a make or break year for Mike Woodson. Illinois is intriguing. Finally, we made it to the Elite Eight last year, so expectations naturally rise. But when you're replacing 10 guys on a roster, how reasonably can you expect them to rise? UCLA, a team historically one of the all-time greats, a blue blood. This year, they're ranked to be a pretty good basketball team as well. How high do they finish? How does UCLA handle the Big Ten grind? The football teams aren't doing a very good job of it. UCLA and USC, they've been humbled on the gridiron. How does it translate to the basketball court? These are all things that I'm really looking forward to. And again, this is just KenPom. The actual rankings, the polls are going to be coming out later on Monday, and I'll be releasing an episode talking about that as well. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Illinois, number 2, is that about right? 23 overall, is that about right? Am I too high on Indiana? Or is KenPom too low on Indiana? Are you excited about Rutgers? Let me know what you guys think. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So we got wind, a lot of us were surprised when Saturday, when the injury report came out just about a couple hours before kickoff, Kaden Fagan was listed as out. And on that report, they didn't disclose what the injury was, but we found out after in the post-game press conference, Brett Bielema kind of alluded to Kaden hurting himself on a Tuesday practice. I believe he said he hyperextended his knee and that they're going to have to get it evaluated, but Brett was very clear in saying that he thinks this might be a longer-term injury and that this is something that they're going to do right by Kaden. And knowing that Kaden has NFL aspirations and, more importantly, NFL talent, they want to make sure that Kaden's going to be healthy enough and heal himself before they bring him back to the football field. There's rumblings going on in regards to Kaden and the truthfulness behind this apparent injury. But at this point, you kind of just have to take Brett for his word. It's something to monitor. I know a lot of people have been talking about the coaching staff asking Kaden to move to the linebacker position just because we're so weak there and that he could shore up a weakness over there and then maybe Kaden's not happy. Again, these are all rumors. I'm not going to substantiate them. For now, as I said, I'm going to take Brett at his word. He's already played 5 games this year. So that means he's already ineligible to receive a red shirt for this season. I just think this is going to be a situation that we just have to kind of continue monitoring, see him heal up. Hopefully, it doesn't look like he's going to be playing against Michigan. And quite honestly, I doubt that he's going to be playing against Oregon as well the following week. Now, could we use a talent like Kaden Fagan against a Michigan and an Oregon? Well, yes, of course. But Kaden is, at worst, a top 3 talent on that offensive side of the football. So, of course, you want your most talented players to play against the best teams in the conference. However, this is just one of those cases where, if you tuned into my post game, I kind of alluded to this as well. Kaden Fagan is the best running back we have, but he's a big dude at 6'3", 250 pounds. His running style may actually not be ideal for the way this team currently seems to be set up. Kaden is a guy who runs to a hole, and once he gets to that second level, good luck to the defense. It's very, very hard to catch him. But we all know the struggles the offensive line has had this season, in particular on the interior side. So a lot of times, Kaden, when he gets the ball, runs to a hole that just isn't there. And then he gets tackled. And you're talking about a couple-yard game. Now, don't get me wrong. Kaden's improved over the last couple weeks, or at least the ones that he's played. His numbers are going up a little bit. And it's not even close when it comes to blocking. He's easily and by far our best blocking running back. And that's passes both the eye test and his PFF grades. So he's going to be sorely missed. But on Saturday, Josh McCray put forth a very impressive performance. We really didn't miss Kaden all that much. I'm starting to wonder if Josh McCray might actually be a better option for the way our offensive line is set up at the moment. Just because he's a little smaller. Now, he's not small. We all remember Josh McCray, in particular his freshman year. He was the Thunder in that backfield. So he's still a powering force. But I think maybe it's just because he's been in college a couple years now. He has more experience. And he's the guy who can wait to find the hole. And let's be honest, the Josh McCray story would be one of the more incredible ones in recent memory when it comes to Illinois. Bret Bielema talked about it in the postgame press conference where he actually got a little emotional talking about Josh. Josh was the first recruit that Bret Bielema signed on when he came to the Illini. And in that whole process, Josh lost his mother and Josh lost his grandmother, a grandmother who was actually close to Bret too, as they had continued to build that relationship. And Bret has kind of taken on a sort of mentorship. And of course, when you become a coach, of course, by default, you're also a mentor. But it's become painfully obvious that Bret really does look at Josh in a certain light. There was a lot of people, myself included, who would not have been shocked if Josh McCray would have decided to transfer out a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. Unfortunately for him, even after an outstanding freshman season, the injury bug has just bothered him during his college career. But he stuck around. And not just that, to give you guys an idea, Josh McCray is one of the guys that Bret and the staff trust in such levels that if there's a recruit visiting for an official visit, they room him with Josh McCray. They look at Josh as an ambassador to the football team. Someone who not only can show a certain player what it's like to be an Illini, he can sell the university, he can sell the coaching staff, but also the opposite. Bret trusts Josh's opinion. By staying with these recruits, Josh can see what that relationship can be like and whether recruit X can be a good fit in the Illinois program. If Josh is able to become starter for the next couple weeks, and really no one's asking for superstar numbers, we don't need it. Especially with the way Luke has been playing, our wide receivers. We scored 50 points on Saturday. What we need Josh McCray to do is to be a weapon, to be a threat, to keep defenses honest and not zeroing in on Luke Altmaier. We saw what happened when defenses can do that. Penn State, once they knew the threat of the run was out, they attacked Luke every single time. And all of a sudden, we had our worst performing offensive half all season long. But if Josh McCray is able to come in, and then you're talking about a sprinkle of Aiden Lawfrey, a sprinkle of Khalil Valentine, and of course, Valentine, of course, I've said I think he's going to be a future star in this league, but a lot of you have corrected me, and you're right. He's, especially according to PFF grades, an awful blocker, which is not too big of a surprise. Don't get me wrong. He's a freshman. He's smaller. Blocking is something that doesn't come naturally to every single running back right off the bat. You're coached into it. You learn about it, and you progressively get better every single year. Or he's not a running back, but Pat Bryant is a perfect example. Pat Bryant right now, not only does he have highlight level catches, but even when he's not the one catching the ball, if it's a different wide receiver, go ahead, watch the replay, and go watch Pat Bryant. He's one of the best blocking wide receivers, not just in the conference, but in the entire country. Khalil Valentine isn't a great running back right now, and that's probably why his potential to be the everyday starter is not very high this season. But he can be a change of pace back, and hopefully Josh McCray can be the guy who just helps salvage this running situation. Right now, obviously, it's not very good. And we've got two very, very strong teams coming up. Michigan and Oregon. Two teams that, again, we need to keep them honest. Josh McCray is one of the stories that I just love about college football. I feel like a story like his is unique to the sport. Because, again, he's not a multimillionaire professional. He's a kid. He's a kid who built a relationship with a very special coach. And when the outside world thought that maybe that connection was about to break, that Josh would try to find an opportunity somewhere else, there's two people who didn't agree with that. And that's the player involved and that head coach. You see it with Brett Bielema. Aaron Henry was a former player who now is his defensive coordinator. Brett has an ability to really connect with some guys, and it's become painfully obvious that Josh McCray is one of them. And the fact that Josh McCray has stuck around despite what looked like his role being replaced and injuries side-railing his career. If Josh McCray wants to be an Illini and the coaching staff has that level of respect for him, who are we to argue? I hope Josh McCray becomes one of the prime storylines going into the second half of the season. NBA season is right around the corner, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of do miss having an NBA team right down the street. Just for those of you that don't know, my very first NBA game I got to watch at the Chicago Stadium, and Michael Jordan hit a game-winning basket against the Indiana Pacers. It's a memory that kind of ingrained the Chicago Bulls into my heart, and one of the reasons I'm still to this day a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. If you're looking for a way to get to a game, whether you're a Bulls fan, whether you're a Indiana Pacers fan, or maybe a Dallas Mavericks fan or San Antonio Spurs fan, just check out Game Time. Game Time gives you all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, basically showing you what the price is totally upfront with no surprise fees. Of course, you get seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Also, the lowest price guarantee on Game Time, or Game Time will credit you with 110% of the difference. Just take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And that's going to just about wrap it up for today's edition of Locked On Illini. Again, late Sunday night, the KenPom rankings came out, and at some point on Monday, the actual poll rankings for the entire college basketball season are going to be coming out, at least the top 25. What does that signal? That signals that college basketball season is right around the corner. I'm going to try to line up a couple team previews for you guys. If there's a certain team that you want me to focus on for a segment, please let me know in the comment section. Let me know what teams that you guys want me to preview, and I'll do my best to bring on an insider of that said team. And so we can kind of learn a little bit more about their rosters, their aspirations, and just a little bit getting an idea of where and what the Big Ten is going to look like. On your way out, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thankful, grateful. I have so many words for you guys. We reached 1,300 subs on YouTube over the weekend. I think it was that Purdue post-game, which that pushed us over the edge. But now that we've done that, what that means is 1,400 is up next. If you're on the audio side, I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. The audio side has never wavered when it kind of came to numbers, especially with the Locked On Network. The numbers have been fantastic. Do me a favor. Write me a 5-star review. I hope it's a 5-star. If it's not, then don't write it. I'm kidding, of course. But please, yes, if you're able to. And again, all I'm trying to do is share this channel. Basketball season is just a couple weeks away. I know we're going to gain some momentum that way. And the best way to do that is to put this channel in the eyes of other Illini fans. And you can help me do that. Again, I don't ask for anything financially. It's simply a like, a subscribe, and maybe share it with a group chat or something like that. That is more than enough. I do content every single day, and that's because you guys support me every single day. That's going to be enough of Locked On Illini. Thank you for making us your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Big Ten podcast. Craig Shimon puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's going to wrap it up for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be talking to Ted because it's going to be Tuesday. And also, my guess is we're going to be talking where Illinois finishes or starts with the new poll. Until then, ILL love you guys.